I'm Brodor, and this is Why We Game. Our guest this episode, as promised, episode 40 guest, buyer and holistic manager of the Fantasy Shop, John Perks returns, and this time in the Safe Space Studios. Last time we covered family, relationships built around gaming, depression, addiction, LARP, and John's Fantasy Shop ascension. And I'm obliged to caution you, it gets a little sloppy when John talks about meeting Lydia. This time, we get to drill down on John's professional experience and his perspective regarding the state of hobby retail and the hobby industry. John, how are you doing this fine day?
I'm doing wonderfully, Mike. Thanks for having me here in the Safe Space Studios. This is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, it's not as safe as it used to be because the gun safe is now in a different room. And so I just have those magnetized plates under the table that hold small arms.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I did not know that that is what made this space safe before.
No.
I have just the positive vibes.
No. If so it's both, right? We believe in the amendments here in order, the freedom of speech being, the safest and most important thing. And that's why it is listed among the first things of press and speech and gathering and the expression of your religion and your thought, and to not be utterly fucking destroyed for the things that you think, but then also having the right to, when the government says, hey, we don't like you thinking that way and we want you to stop. That kind of skeeves me out. Getting into the realm of politics, which is not what we do on the show. So if you will forgive me and have my appreciation for allowing the indulgence, dear listener, and still continuing to listen. John, how are things with you and your position as holistic manager and buyer at the Fantasy Shop right now?
Yeah, things are going really good. Genuinely. No complaints. There's always changes and always challenges, professionally, personally, and family-wise. But I find that given time and experience and communication, that we all move past that. And it's neat and exciting to face really challenging moments and be able to reflect on them and grow from that moment going forward.
And just to hearken back to you, and the reason that you're here is that not only are you and I good friends and longtime professional colleagues, but you oversee the day-to-day operations of a 4-store comic and game chain in St. Louis, Missouri, that is literally celebrating its 40th year in business this month.
Yeah, Mike, you and I met over a decade ago. You hired me on as a clerk to the Fantasy Shop, and at the time, I did not realize how embedded it was in the local gaming and comic community here in St. Louis.
Well, not just in St. Louis, but nationally, the number of people that, all over the country that have purchased Dave's book and run their businesses and adapted their businesses and evolved their businesses based on his teachings. But that's neither here nor there. See, I knew based on what you had said prior during the pre-interview about how you turn this around on people and do your best to not talk about yourself, or I'm medicated and paranoid.
Well, it might be a little bit of all of that. I am, of course, grateful to the opportunities that I was given when you hired me on. More than anything, I'm wanting to frame for the audience here. You and I have known each other for a very long time, and I considered you the best manager and best customer service representative example that I'd ever had before.
Now, listeners,
I need you to not just, I don't want you to balk at the compliments that I'm offering you. I try to build up the people around me. It's very important to recognize where their strengths and where their weaknesses lie. But I am incredibly grateful at the opportunities that I was given, hired on over a decade ago. Never would I have imagined that I would have been able to take this job and turn it into a lifelong career where I have learned more about business, more about life and personal relationships and how to be a better human being. And you were a part of that among a team of people that taught me many lessons over these years. Dave Wallace and Kelly Wallace have been running their business here in the St. Louis area since 81, and they have been able to continue to thrive in this business because they have learned and adapted and learned from the mistakes, the many mistakes that Dave is very open about having made over this time. And he would fall back on the idea that the reason that we're still here, the reason that we are able to grow, the reason that we're able to bring new people in is that we want to embrace our mistakes and we want to be able to learn so that we can get better going forward.
And John, that's just it. The reason that I wanted to have you back on the show, the last time we had you on, we had to cut short due to the end of our road trip. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have the opportunity to get into the professional aspect of John Perks as a retailer. And you're someone who is dialed into the industry, both on the gaming side, but also on the comic side. And now on the print distribution side, because of the fracturing that has occurred in comic book distribution. So if I can paraphrase Tom Sizemore's truck driver from an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I want to split you like a coconut.
I mean, I'll bend over right now, Mike, if that's where we're going with this.
Now,
I am thrilled to talk about and pick up where we left off. When we got off the road, I literally called you because I got excited about the journey. This has been amazing opportunities, and it started planting seeds about familiar relationships and from that we talked about in the last episode. And again, never did I dream that I would have over 10 years of experience working in the comics and games industry as a retailer. Every year there are new wild challenges and wild things happening. This last year and a half has upended global supply chains, has made us rethink how people and humans interact. And that has very much impacted the way that we interact as people in these hobbies and the way that we spread great new stories and enjoy games together. Profoundly has this impacted all aspects of the world and very much our industry. I don't think there's any industry that has avoided being deeply impacted by COVID, right? And we are seeing unprecedented changes in our industry that I have not witnessed in my tenure. There are others that may see correlations to historical movements in the industry, and I'm grateful for those people who have learned about distribution changes with games and comics.
And that's exactly my point, John, because you're plugged into all this stuff as someone who does buying for a company that has been in business for 40 years, that has 4 stores, whose owners have a reputation as good retailers in the industry, right? So I want to understand your experience. I want to know what's going on in the industry, because people can go to ICV2, et cetera, and read short articles about what's going on in the industry. They can read other people's experiences in short articles online, but I want to get into it.
Okay, I hear you. And I also want to take a step back. You're offering me a big compliment and saying that I am dialed in and I have the finger on the pulse of what this industry is. You have to understand as well, any of the listeners out there, I only come from a very limited perspective. We have 4 stores. We dabble in and do our best in a wide variety of products that we carry in our stores. We do have many suppliers that I try to reach out to every week and try to make sure that we have the right products in our stores. there is a tremendous amount of wealth of knowledge that I don't have in my brain. And I rely upon my staff and my customers to keep me informed about trends in products and what people are excited about, upcoming stories, upcoming writers, upcoming games that we need to have available for the customers that are coming through our door.
John, people aren't going to want to listen. Here's me, John, on your dick. Wait, and John,
hold off there. Hold on, buddy. Hold on. And we're not going to finish right now.
And John, here's you on my dick. So let's stop with that. Your bona fides are there. Let me put it in one perspective, please. You spend hundreds of thousands of dollars annually on toy soldiers and funny books and Dungeons and Dragons style games and board games. That, to me, says plugged in, John. It says that you are at least in proximity of said pulse.
I will happily accept in proximity of. I just always want to acknowledge there is far better that we can do. And I have some experience, I have some bona fides, and I have a tremendous amount of fortune on my side. So if I have ideas out there, I hope everyone takes that with a grain of salt. And it is one voice among many. If anything, it is collecting other people's ideas and experiences through some very reputed reporting sources. And yeah. So what do you want to know, Mike?
So, okay. We're 16 minutes in now, John, and we're just now getting to the point.
We're going to cut out like 12 of these minutes,
No, that's not happening. We had this conversation. I know where the cut points are, John. I know what's getting dumped out of here. It keeps me awake at night. But you have your bona fides, and I adore you, and I respect your opinion, and I want to spend time with you. So here we are. Now, you've said that the industry has gone through some significant changes in the last year and a half to 2 years that no one ever anticipated. So first one that pops to your mind, let's take a look at it. Let's try to unpack it.
I am only seeing this as a retailer, but the biggest shifts I think that everyone is experiencing are supply chain issues, are delays in products getting from manufacturing and from ideas to our tables and to our shelves. I think that has been unprecedented in ways that we are still only now exploring. I have gotten to read articles through ICV2, which you mentioned earlier. They report regularly on our industry in particular, but they are very plugged into the toy industry and pop culture industry that has all been affected by the shipping problems and shipping changes as we are trying to meet the demand of consumers here on the US soil and the people that are here. I think that everyone's been hit with that, and that's wildly unprecedented. And I don't know now what the real impacts are going to be, except that I can speak to that people are normalizing understanding that street dates aren't being hit regularly. People are starting to understand that it's okay to wait for a product that doesn't hit the shelf right away. Sometimes there's also people that don't seem to understand and also have a lot of impatience about the frustrations about the things that they want. They're not getting everything that they want right away. And that has been interesting and challenging to navigate for our staff. But honestly, I think that our customers, the people that come through our doors, are generally very understanding and are doing their best to roll with the punches like everyone else has as we are surviving through a global pandemic. So number one, shipping stuff has been probably the weirdest, most unprecedented thing that we're seeing. Now, secondly, the biggest disruptions to our weekly workflow here at the Fantasy Shop have been the distribution changes, as Diamond Comic Books distributors had been the sole source of our funny books, as you said.
I say that with tongue firmly in cheek. I am not disparaging comic books. I don't want the comic book people to come after me because they're fucking savages.
We say this with the same love and endearment that we refer to our Warhammer miniatures and our WizKids awesome miniatures as toy soldiers.
Yeah, no,
we say this with endearing. Like, there's so many amazing comic books and comic book creators out there. Please, thank you for that disclaimer. We don't want to disparage that. I love this medium, and I love the outlet that it has had for all of this. Not to just ride the dick of all the comic creators out there right now either. Diamond Comic Books had shut down at the beginning of the pandemic, like many other suppliers, as they tried to navigate how to safely allow their staff to continue their jobs. They cut off what had been the primary artery for new comic books and merchandise to hit the shelves of retailers at the beginning of 2020. This was the first time in the 10 years I had been working here that new comics were not on the shelf on a Wednesday morning. It was unsettling as a retailer. It was weird, and we did not know what the next weeks would hold. We navigated with our customers in as clear and intimate way as we could, because we know our people, and we tried to talk with them through social media or through the phone or through whatever ways that we could reach them to discuss with them that we are here and we will be here when things resume. But there was a lot of uncertainty. During that time, DC Comic Books had, and I'm probably not remembering all of the exact legal details and terms here, so keep that in mind. And I want to say all these things incredibly respectfully, but DC had seen that their agreement with Diamond Comic Books was not being held up because they stopped distribution of the new periodicals. And DC positioned themselves into finding an alternative to distribute their books. So they started shopping around and found 2 distributors to start distributing their comics. That was wild and certainly changed the way that we did things. And there have been various results of this. This has been rather normalized, but again, the routines disrupt as huge changes, including Diamond shutting down, DC picking up UCS and Lunar as their distributors away from Diamond.
If I may interject,
yeah,
not only are they distributors, but they're also sales competitors in that they sell comic books online.
That's my understanding of it.
So in addition to acting as a distributor for DC, they're also mining sales data regarding DC Comics all over the Pebble, right?
I imagine they're smart enough to absolutely be mining that data.
Well, I mean, the data is the most valuable thing, right? I mean, today, I know I'm medicated. I said that too many times. That's how you know. Anyway, I totally cut you off because you have DC then saying, hey, these 2 distributors are working with us. They're distributing our books. And oh, by the way, they're also selling books competing with you, and you're providing them with your sales data.
It's confusing, and it led to a lot of questions and a lot of wondering if there are conflicts of interest in that deal. Again, I don't want to lead with fear, but they absolutely are mining that data. They have our sell-through data on these books, or they have at least our purchase data on DC Comic Books since the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
and it's
interesting.
It's not just you. Yeah. It's Comic Relief down the road.
Yep.
And it's V-Stock and it's et cetera, et cetera. I'm not comfortable with that. And I know that I'm a paranoid when it comes to data mining and harvesting and manipulation, et cetera. So
I don't know what the impacts of that are going to be. Like, I get the suspicion. This is the way it is right now. And I don't know how to get good Batman books to my shelf without them. and they're put in a unique position of power. It's fascinating.
Well, now Marvel isn't distributing with Diamond any longer, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I started at the beginning of the pandemic with DC moving out, and Lunar Distribution are the ones that ended up with the sole distribution rights for DC Comics. And Marvel, at the beginning of the summer, announced that they would be ending their exclusive distribution deal with Diamond and going to Penguin Random House, which we all know as a titan of the book selling industry. Yeah, selling novels and books and magazines and many things like that. Incredibly huge corporation that manages selling these books to the world. The point, though, is Marvel no longer distributes through Diamond comic books. They are now being distributed by Penguin. Interestingly, contrary to the way that it was with DC and Diamond and Lunar, the relationship with Penguin, Diamond, and Marvel is that Diamond has remained a wholesaler of Marvel comic books since this changeover. We are still able to get our Marvel books through Diamond at a comparable price and discount currently. That is subject to change down the line, but they have, for the time being, up through the end of this year, seemed to maintain their agreements on discount levels, and as they're figuring out how to navigate a world where they do not have the sole distribution of Marvel books.
How do they survive as a company without DC and Marvel books to distribute? The reason I asked that question is you just said moments ago that it's subject to change.
Nothing's set in stone. In my estimation, I don't want to call certainty on anything. And Diamond did make an announcement, and again, I'm paraphrasing, but they made an announcement that they were going to freeze all the discount changes and stuff up through 2021. That allowed their retailers to make decisions on where they're going to be spending their money and sourcing their material, giving some forgiveness to the people that may be moving around. Now, that being said, I don't know how they survive, and the ins and outs that we're looking at for discount levels and costs come around to which distributors are going to offer the best terms for us going forward as a retailer matters. And when we lose margin, we have to figure out where we can recoup that in different places, whether or not, I don't need to get into the details on all the ways that each of these distributors tries to sweeten the pie, but offering free shipping on one hand for a loss of margin on the other. These are things that are in the offerings. And as a retailer that orders a ton of Marvel books, orders a ton of Image and Dark Horse and other even smaller press books, we have to weigh where the breakpoints are going to be on getting better, on getting the right price to be able to continue to justify getting certain products in. We love our books, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we have the right amount of product for our customers and getting the right stuff. And we want more. Diamond also offers a ton of things other than just the print material, which is incredibly handy. If you aren't aware, Diamond Comic Books didn't just sell DC, Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, Boom. They sold a huge catalog of other manufacturers and publishers that are offered in their previews catalog. So we can get toys, action figures, magazines, other novels, and many other amazing pop culture stuff. At the Fantasy Shop, we love that stuff. This is the kind of thing that you walk into our store and it really changes the environment. So we're going to continue to source that material in the best way that we can. So that is a way, in my estimation, that Diamond continues to keep a competitive edge over some of these other smaller places.
May I relate this to gaming?
Please.
Because
always.
People are like, dude, we're half hour in and you're not talking about gaming. What the hell? I get it, but I'm fascinated by this. And I know that some listeners actually are interested in this stuff because I've gotten feedback from them. But if you'll allow me, I'm going to transition this or make it akin to or relative to gaming in that in the gaming industry, you have a number of distributors that you have to juggle. Now, in the comic industry, instead of the diamond monopoly, which I know from years of experience directly, that it was a difficult machine to deal with, now you're juggling multiple distributors for your comic books, and you're dealing with a larger corporation, a larger corporate bureaucracy than you have ever dealt with before in Penguin Random House.
Yeah, that's accurate.
That sounds miserable.
It's changed the week to week routine more than anything else. Like I'm not going to ascribe misery. There's frustrations. There's frustrations for sure.
Yeah, but you're a positive person and I'm not.
I am. And
I would be miserable if I were
There's
you.
a ton of inconvenience to adding another layer, another person, another company that you're contacting with. I'm discovering if I've gained any experience over this time, it's you figure out how to navigate that the best you can. You get better at it and you turn it into an efficient system where, okay, I can move on to that part of my day to make sure that I have the right products moving there. I can go on. I love to geek out about that stuff too. If your audience is excited about it, I could absolutely go deeper into the weird nuances of each of these suppliers and how they've impacted us, you know? Diversity has been really important for the fantasy shop. And my understanding for anybody in our industry is having a diversity of products is important. So normalizing shopping around has probably been one of the best opportunities for growth personally and professionally.
So has competition bred excellence?
Forgive my long sigh there.
No, see, that's what
hard
I have
to
do.
measure.
Because
Hard to measure.
You're an object in motion, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to just wait for you to come to a pause, I need to hit you from the side and try to change your direction.
Yeah. Forgive my sigh there then.
No.
We have seen some vast improvements in specific ways going through lunar distribution with Diamond comic books. And this has been our experience. And my understanding of it is that we are very lucky and are an outlier in that. I remember the first time I opened up the lunar books, I set aside an entire evening because I wasn't sure what we were going to stumble into. Normally, when we receive our Diamond books, we have a pallet of books that comes through that we pick up from FedEx and we bring it in and we unload it and we take precise count of every book and precise allocation of everything that's going out to our stores, right? And inevitably, Diamond comic books we have a big pile of damages and a huge list of shortages and overages. And frankly, one of the best things about Diamond in acknowledging that is a mistake that gets made on a weekly basis, they have a robust system for reporting and replacing those shortages and damages. That's part of our routine. That's part of their routine. And we get like a well-oiled machine. Like a machine that keeps spitting things out. We have a regular expectation that we're going to be able to get replacements for our damages and for our shortages. And that works out. Going back to the lunar experience, I was expecting something similar with lunar. I was dreadfully afraid in those nights of how the hell are we going to deal with this? Am I prepared to report these at the right time? Is everything going to be okay? Because the scariest thing is always the most unknown thing. Boy, was I blown away at the professionalism and the precision in which they handled the new weekly periodicals for the DC books that week. I was blown away. The books in those boxes were the best conditioned books that I had seen.
Wait, from who?
From Lunar Distribution.
Okay.
Yeah. Double wrapped. Like I could geek out on the packaging, Mike. It was wonderful. They had inner cartons with bubble wrap on the outside. On the variants were bagged and boarded and were nice, precisely laid on top of the thing. So there was no weight on any of those books. And those spines were crisp. And I was impressed. I remember reporting to my staff that evening, like I took photos of, I want to make sure I get this right. Before I even opened the boxes, like I'm going to take a timestamp of, this is what they looked like. It looks good. Could it be this good? And Then we opened it up and dude, I was done with that shipment in 45 minutes. Everything was allocated. Not even that long. Hell, it might have taken me half an hour. It was so fast, so crisp, so professional. I was incredibly impressed, incredibly relieved. Respectfully, I do understand this has not been the case for all the retailers out there. I know there's been some horror stories, but every week we get our books on time, if not early, from Lunar Distribution. They have given us our fresh new books in better condition than we had before. So if you ask me the question of, has competition bred excellence? In that regard, I would say, hey, I appreciate that service better than before. Now, that being said, I still have not had a finger on the pulse of exactly when my reorders are going to show up at the right time. I am confused about fill rates on replacements when they do have a shortage or a damage. There is communication issues that I've been running in with Lunar, mostly because of ease of access of the information and probably because I could learn to do better and communicate. But I have yet to speak to someone on the phone at Lunar. Emails can be okay, but it takes a different type of time and communication to resolve issues through email. Having a way to talk on the phone would be very appreciated. And maybe have someone guide me through, walk me through the pace of this as I'm processing my orders. I am still learning that process. Even a year and a half later, I keep discovering new things, and they keep adding new features to the website to make it a little bit easier for returns to be processed or for sales data to be available. So as a retailer and as a buyer, they have added tools and grown as we've gone along. But I think there's still work to be done. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Penguin's been different. I'm going to go into Penguin real fast because it's also safe to say we have stuck with Diamond comic books for getting our new comics every week from Penguin.
You chose Diamond as opposed to Penguin?
We chose to continue to go through Diamond as a wholesaler of Marvel comic books to us at Fantasy Shop. We always have the option to open up the artery at Penguin. We have been ordering books from Penguin for quite some time now and have had experience with learning how to navigate some of their ordering systems. Frankly, their accounting department has been very easy to work with, and I've really appreciated a lot of that on that side. There are definitely things that Penguin could do to make it easier on retailers and make it easier for my clerk to find products on their website. We did not choose to stay with Diamond because of problems at Penguin. We chose to stay at Diamond at first, right now, because that is a good option for us and it is more convenient. If it is more convenient, it saves us time, which saves us money over time. And we are learning how to navigate Penguin so that if we need to move, we are prepared to do so. What I've discovered in that time is there's definitely ways to improve the systems, like simple things, simple improvements that would be a big help to retailers would be some quality of life improvements in terms of the way that their search engines work. It's frankly confusing, and I've heard people use more hyperbolic language, but you type in Batman and you're going to have a hell of a time trying to find the right Batman book.
Now, when you type in Batman, that's a pretty broad, like I know that if I just typed in Batman into the Diamond website, it would be daunting as well.
Okay, let me use a specific. If I'm looking for Captain America Winter Soldier trade paperback, that normal trade paperback that we would order, we've ordered dozens of times, it doesn't necessarily pop up as the first option. Now, also, if any Penguin employees are listening at all, like that name.
That'd be metal as fuck.
That would be pretty freaking cool. I actually pulled that name off out of my brain there, and it very much may not be accurate. So now I'm tempted to log into Penguin and double check it so I can give you a precise example of where my complaints are. But as an example, like I try to type in specific titles for graphic novels and trade paperbacks, and I get a mess of things that are frankly confusing. It could be refined. And if you wanted me to present to you a specific list of things, given some time, I could put together a better report of how things could be improved. And frankly, Penguin has asked for that feedback. So I absolutely I'm not comfortable bitching on the internet about any of the problems that they have. No. There's things in terms of the search functions that could be more streamlined. I need it as easy as possible for the clerk up at the front of my store to be able to look up an item for the customer that walks in and says, "Hey, do you have Infinity Gauntlet?" I want them to be able to go find the graphic novel, pull up the item description, show them what they're talking about. I want them to be able to use Penguin as a tool to educate our customers and make sure that we're getting the right things for them. Right now it's clunky and it's hard to do. I have seen, and if I'm going to have any other complaints at this point, it's that the system for packing our books right now is done like the boxes come in a wide variety of quality of packing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around why.
Wait, worse than Diamond?
Different than Diamond. But I don't know if I could say worse than Diamond. Different than Diamond. We get a large quantity of stuff from Diamond right now, and maybe that's part of it. Penguin tends to, at this time, maybe with the account settings that we have, and maybe I could change this, but right now with the default settings that we go through in ordering our books, I place an order and they fill it from a number of different warehouses. And usually an order will get invoiced into like several different packages with number of different shipment tracking information. And my understanding is that they're coming from different warehouses, that they're sourcing this material, getting it to us any way they can. One of the best things about Penguin is that they don't charge us for that shipping. So each of those individual shipments is coming to us in hopefully the most efficient manner. But it does come like sometimes I'm going to get one graphic novel in a box. Sometimes I'm going to get 10 to 15 graphic novels or manga or hardcovers in another box. And the inconsistency in the way that those are sent out seems to have increased the chances that things are going to get damaged. Now, I don't order nearly the volume from Penguin right now as I do from Diamond, but it makes me leery about that. I've also heard reports industry-wide from the retailers that have ordered their new comic book periodicals. I've heard some pretty, how do I say this politely? Some pretty atrocious stories about the way that those new comic books were handled. And it's one thing too, like, or everything has the chance to get damaged in a shipment, right? Like all these packages are changing multiple hands, but condition really matters for comic book collectors. And if I get a stack of books that's spines are dented or corners are bent, that's something I'm not going to be able to put on my shelf and expect my customers to want to pick up. And I'm hearing that there was a huge volume, a large percentage of books that were sent out that first week that Penguin had.
Their first week out, there was a large percentage of books that were in bad shape.
Yeah. Yeah. And with that in mind, I'm guessing the percentage of books that were damaged in that way, they didn't have enough product on hand to replace those shipments. So there were a lot of logistical nightmares for retailers and for Penguin in that time. I have to confess, like I have not, it's easy to pay attention to the sensational, like, wow, that was so shocking at how poor that seemed to be handled. And I confess I haven't done my homework enough to see how much those things have been fixed up, but it makes me grateful that we've chosen to stay with Diamond, which is the devil we know. And my hope is that Penguin learns from the outcry at the time and is able to change course. Frankly, all of their statements about like the PR campaign for Penguin, the outreach to retailers trying to learn what we needed to get products on our shelf in the ways that we needed them, they talked a really great game. And the people that were at the forefront of this had the best of intentions and seemed to have an inordinate amount of experience to make this happen and to deliver. So again, and you know me, Mike, I'm an optimist. Like I think, okay, they've got a great team of people working on this. They've made some mistakes. I expect them to learn from those mistakes. And self-servingly, gratefully, as the retailer that stuck with Diamond, I'm grateful to have a little bit of of a grace period before we're committed to picking up our books weekly from Marvel. I hope that I can still pick up those books from Diamond. I think more options is better for everyone. But I also hope Penguin ups their game, strives for excellence. Hopefully that incentivizes Diamond to really get their operations even more efficient and even cleaner going forward. I'm a fan of Diamond, but I'm also a fan of pretty much everyone that tries to make this industry better.
Let me transition this into gaming then.
Yeah.
Because the individual that owns Diamond Comics also owns Alliance Distributors.
Yep.
Now, Diamond Comics, from everything that I understand, has lost market share, undoubtedly because they don't have DC and they don't have a good portion of Marvel, presumably at this point. And I don't know who else is jumping ship because I'm not focused on the comic industry. But if Diamond is losing market share, and from everything I understand talking to retailers, Alliance doesn't have as much market share as they used to. I mean, my little birds tell me that your company does not order from Alliance nearly to the degree that they used to.
Yeah, that's true. When I first came on, we were ordering almost exclusively all of our gaming material through Alliance at that time. Well, not exclusively. A lion's share of our weekly items were coming from Alliance, and as days have gone on, we have ordered less and less from them for sure.
So I just wonder how he's doing. You know?
Same.
Anyway.
Yeah. Same. I wish that I had a better idea of that. Like most of my inside information on Geppy Enterprises, as they say, ICV2 has been an excellent source of information for that every week. The big moves in that, I commend those reporters for bringing that information to our inbox. I remember a brief discussion, brief article about them getting into the collectible grading side of things, trying to diversify their portfolio in that regard. Little scuttlebutt to throw around, like Alliance started listing graphic novels on their website sometime in the last year. Wasn't as relevant for us because we already had a Diamond account, but undoubtedly to increase the bandwidth of the stock that they had and to maybe cross-promote, or absolutely to cross-promote the graphic novels that are gaming tangential. Plenty of cool fantasy stories are sent out in comics. So making that available to Alliance customers as well seemed like a great move. I wonder what that all meant for warehousing and the backside and the logistics side. That's a whole side of the industry that I wish I had a better finger of the pulse on. Like these guys, every time that I walk into a warehouse, like my eyes just glow like I'm at Disneyland again.
It's fascinating.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Well, let me go piss. And then when I'm done, we'll come back and I'm going to ask you about what kind of shortages you are seeing in the gaming industry. So you'll have a moment to stew on that because you're long-winded and I'm kidding. That was a dick thing to say.
No, I am long-winded.
I wanted to give you...
I like to bloviate.
Yeah. All right, fine. I'll leave it in. But I wanted to give you a moment to think about it because I want to jump in at some point and be like, John, lightning round. How is the comic industry doing financially? Positive, negative? Go.
Lightning round.
Yeah, see, you can't do it. You literally... And you're not medicated like I am, and you're literally
I'm completely sober,
staring off into the street.
I'm looking for data in the back of my mind.
What does lightning round mean? What is the genesis of lightning? Like, I can't put up with your hippie shit, John. Anyway.
This is why you love me, Mike.
I have to piss. I'll be right back.
We'll be back.
It's a beautiful cloud there. That was very nice. Very, very nice. But so anyway, so back, let's get into gaming and gaming shortages. So what exactly are you seeing? Is that cucumber? What the hell kind of vape flavor is that? If they had tart flavors, sour stuff like vinegar, and I'm in, I would do that.
honeydew melon is what we're
Oh,
smelling
it smells
today. It's a
delicious.
wonderful cloud of lies.
Yeah. Anyway, what kind of shortages are you seeing on the gaming side of things?
As an anecdotal example, currently, the latest set for Magic the Gathering just hit its pre-release this last weekend, and we're looking at the release hitting this weekend. And Wizards of the Coast made an announcement a month or so before the pre-release, discussing that one of the product SKUs, they have set boosters that are boosters designed for mining for cool rares and for a specific subset of customers. I don't need to get into all that, but we're seeing that set boosters were originally solicited as available at the pre-release, and because of supply chain issues, not available at the pre-release. So distribution and everyone had to communicate with their retailers about that as a shortage and allow them to change their numbers on the number of other product SKUs that were available. They had to reconfigure the way that they did their prices. It changed things around in a pretty significant way. That's just a good example of right now.
Is there specificity? Is there anyone saying supply issues equals X? This is the specific supply issue that we're having, or is it, see, we're having supply issues and nobody's getting their stuff? Like, I don't understand what the blanket explanation, the generality supply issues means.
I can't claim to be an expert in that in any degree. But depending on the company, depending on the announcements that we're getting, it sounds like there are issues with material shortages, depending on the company and the product, where they're sourcing it. There are, in terms of shortages or distinction between shortages and delays as well. Like, that's a pretty important distinction. We're seeing delays coming for new products commonly in the last year and a half. Part of that is going to be increase in shipping costs, increase in the time between getting things to port and to retailers. My understanding of it, again, is there are shortages in paper stock of certain books that are making it harder for certain companies to get their products in print and to retailers at the end of this supply chain. So again, that's all complex, and I've said I want to know more about that. And I'm hearing anecdotally from specific manufacturers about certain Kickstarters or specific products that they have, forecasting the possibilities of delays. Sometimes it's a matter of materials. Sometimes it's a matter of logistics and shipping. Sometimes it's a matter in the fact that the demand for a lot of these products is through the roof and not having enough to meet that demand. That's pretty common with a lot of the CCGs and stuff over the last year. Pokemon was crazy for the last couple of years. Just been nuts. Everybody's been collecting those monsters.
Yeah, I bet kitchen table Pokemon, kitchen table Magic, and any digital form of Magic, whatever the heck it's, what is it, Arena?
Yeah.
And Magic Arena, I bet they crush right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the demand for people's attention has been sated in different ways in the last year and a half. Pokemon can be attributed not only to an increase in like casual kitchen table stuff, but the collectibles market in this last several years has been bonkers. And I don't know all the ins and outs, but sports cards and that whole side has been killing it from my understanding of it as well. So I think that I forget all the beats of it, but a lot of it is influencers talking about really neat, niche, nostalgic stuff, people having more free time at home, people having more free money that they're spending on things that they love and they want to value. Everyone, like, the nostalgia market has been crazy in the last number of years, and we're seeing that at a pinnacle right now, and it's fascinating to witness.
I would also like to posit the theory that it has something to do with it being tangible, that it is a physical thing, and that it is something that in particular younger generations, I don't think, have the same affinity for owning things that we do. But as people are stuck at home and they have time, they're working from home, they have more temptations to distract themselves during the day. And I can imagine people sorting through their Pokemon cards or their baseball cards or what have you, while they're watching their IT thing or they're, browsing whatever you have going on with your Zoom classroom, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely believe that. But all right, John, lightning round. We're going to say short or well-stocked. Dice.
Well-stocked.
Role-playing games.
Well-stocked.
40K.
Recently, well-stocked. Historically, the last year and a half has been challenge to get certain SKUs.
Weekly comic issues.
Well-stocked. And again, we're seeing good things right now.
Shortages in reprints.
Less so.
Graphic novels, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, etc.
Seems well-stocked. Yeah.
Statues.
As well-stocked as always. We've always dabbled.
Paint, glue, hobby knives, files, all that stuff.
For the most part, we're looking pretty good on that. There were some variables on some of the adhesives there for a little bit, but I'm seeing some improvements on that.
Miniatures from WizKids, the D&D miniatures.
I'm seeing a ton of new stuff being put out constantly, and reprints have become available in waves. They've done a pretty good job of doing that. Now, I can't actually tell you if those are delayed or not, because we see them and we take those reprints as they come and as they're solicited. Street date has not been something that we really stay on top of on those.
What about other CCGs besides the upcoming Magic release? Has it been difficult to get restock of other older sets that are still in the proper competitive rotations?
Recently, no.
So John, I think it sounds
so if we're
to me
turning
like
around, like
supply issue sounds like a myth to me. It sounds like a lie. It sounds like that we are not seeing supply issues. I mean, what products are we seeing short?
It's valid. It's valid. Yeah, maybe I'm speaking from 6 months ago. And again, we're talking, what are all the lessons that we learned over this year and a half?
So what about
you're right.
What about board games?
Board games have been pretty, we've not had a whole lot of trouble getting stuff recently. Weird.
Yeah. Now the theory that I heard, and am by far no expert, but the theory that I heard some time ago is that it was going to be time before we really, really started to feel the impact of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's interesting. We saw impacts early on. I saw stock levels much smaller last summer for a lot of these things. But I've also seen I've seen the industry pivoting into making sure that the stock levels are there. Our distribution partners have been really solid about making sure that we have the right stuff in the right quantities. To say that shipping problems now are a myth.
Now, I don't think myth, lie. I mean, I was being obviously hasty and foolish when I said
but I don't
that
want
it's
to
a lie.
I don't want to necessarily speak hyperbolically and all that either. Like, we have been able to get the stuff that we've wanted, especially since this summer. I've been able to order, for the most part, things that people are looking for and the things that we want to get on our shelf. There's always, and I also have to keep in mind, there's always been specific things that we can't get for people, either because they're not in distribution or they're not in print or they're sold out or whatever it might be, specific wants for special orders or something like that.
But that's always been the case.
Yeah.
Does it seem like it is more so recently?
At the beginning of the pandemic, absolutely. We have seen big delays sometimes on waves of new CCGs, but that delay flushes through the artery given a couple weeks. Like, we haven't seen anything be catastrophic in that way. I'm getting more Pokemon offered to me right now, literally this week, than I had over the last summer consistently. Now, my reps at all of our distributors are fantastic and they're making sure that we're getting a piece of that pie when they get that stuff in. But right now, we're looking pretty awesome going into the holiday season.
All right, John, I'm tapping.
It's exciting. Yeah, sorry, I'm bloviating.
tapping one red. Ba-boom, lightning bolt. So here comes a lightning.
Yep.
Here comes the question. I know that was fucking lame, but
you're a dork.
I'm a huge dork, and I lost track of my goddamn question, John. So, we were talking about the thing and the thing and the thing and the thing. All right. So how are industry sales? Just up or down? Gaming.
Thumbs up.
Comic books.
Thumbs up.
So comic sales are good.
Comic sales are good.
Because the scuttlebutt I hear is that, the industry is doing poorly. It's all gloom and doom. But I know you're one manager in a 4-store chain, right? Or I should say one office person, one executive office worker or executive manager, however you want to phrase it.
I'm a troglodyte. I work back in that cave.
Nice. Nicely done. Yeah, we were having a troglodyte conversation prior to recording. Anyway, so I get that you're just the one guy, but it sounds to me like that some of the information that I have exposed myself to is less positive than it could be. Is that through the John Perks lens of perpetual optimism? Or is that your experience speaking to other colleagues in the industry?
A little bit of column A. Like there's always going to be a hint of that optimism, but I'm reading information about sales on comics that are increasing, that things are looking good. I'm hearing from other people and other professionals that they're doing pretty good. And people seem to be as happy with comics as they ever have been. I mean, as gamers and comic fans, like we also love to complain. So it's hard to get like what actually is good or not. How well the industry is going on. Like it's hard to tell if you listen to the bitching or scuttlebutt, but it sounds to me like sales are up. It seems like there is a continuing increase in good product that's being offered and things that people are excited about.
Where have you seen the largest growth? Specifically in gaming, where have you seen the biggest growth? What category? Board games, CCGs, etc. Same thing in comics. We're taking Marvel trade paperbacks from the 90s are huge right now. I mean, do you have anything? And again, provide as much, specificity as you can, but where are you seeing things do gangbusters?
So I can't I write down numbers because I'm not going to retain them in my brain as easily. And I'm not looking at my computer right now, but I can tell you right now, manga has been better and more successful than I've seen it in our stores in the time that I've been here. It's kicking butt.
Yeah, because there were a time where it was okay, and then it just died.
Yeah, and I'm curious if that's where we're going to go. I'm also curious if this is an anomaly for our stores because of the staff that we have on and what trends we're following. I doubt it's the case. Anime is hot. Manga is super hot. I want to be optimistic that, bam, this bubble is amazing. I also have to realize that it's a matter of people's buy-in and what they're coming in for. So manga's been hot on the print media side of things.
At risk of yucking anyone else's yum, it's not my thing. I don't care for it. It is really not something that I enjoy. I'm sorry. That was rude. I should not shit on what other people like. It's not for me.
Yeah, it's all good.
So I apologize to everyone. Actually, no.
Don't apologize. You're allowed
it's
to
not
not
my bag, but
like
I shouldn't
stuff,
shit.
Mike.
Shouldn't shit on what people like. It's not cool.
Mike, you've shit on things way more aggressively than you just did. So whatever you had it, you don't have to apologize.
John, it's a different world now. It is not a world where I am allowed to aggressively and angrily shit on stuff. Even if it's a bit, it's not okay because people get their sensitive buttholes all torn up, and I don't need that.
Just take a moment, Mike, and come back to this, check your tapes and see, did you shit on someone's thing, or are you apologizing for something you had in your head and didn't put to words? Ask yourself that question later, Mike. I think you're good.
I believe that my Speed Racer, obviously influenced by recent Gotron episode of Rick and Morty, I think that could probably be seen as hurtful and making fun of people that are into anime and making fun of anime.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe I'm just too short and it went over my head.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. We're going to find out, John, because you know that I edit obsessively.
That's fair.
I need to put some candles on in this room because it's getting dark. So here's what I'm going to do, John. I would like to transition into a different area.
So let me hit real fast, see if I can lightning round. Print media, manga's been kicking butt. The neat stuff that we're offering in the store, dice, we've gotten so many neat offerings for different companies that are making really cool, really unique dice. We've always had that. I'm just seeing even more creativity in competition.
The deal?
It's fucking cool. Yeah. Like, I remember I was supposed to make this a lightning round.
No, it's fine because
this is a good one.
Just go into cons. I'm like, okay, so you've got Chessex, you've got Crystal Cast, but then there is it's not Dwarven Forge.
Dwarven Forge is
Norse Foundry.
Yeah, okay. Norse Foundry is amazing.
There's Norse Foundry. There's Total Party Kill games. I mean, a Q Workshop. I mean, there's a ton of people out there that are doing remarkable stuff. I don't know how they all stay in business.
That's fair. I'm curious as well. I know that we've diversified the companies that we've been ordering dice through, and I'm still moving them. Like, it seems like the amount of money that I can invest into this, it keeps rising. And at first I started to split the pie up to try out different things. And it seemed that the capacity for people to love new, shiny gems just kept increasing. And I'm seeing some neat competition between the different companies. Foam Brain Games has some amazing, clever, creative things that really make them stand out and are unique. Forged Gaming, I think they're out of KC. They reached out to us a couple months back. We tried out some of their things. And not only do they have amazing dice designs for metal dice and some poly sets, they've got, like, as a retailer, something I love, they have one of the best retail packages that I can put on my shelf, have the dice displayed at a $60 dice set that is not easily pocketable. It is in a safe package that displays the product really nicely. It was like a retailer dream when I saw this come in. I was like, damn, I didn't think it could get even better than the other people. Because, man, we met the guys from Die Hard Dice several years ago at the Gamma Trade Show. They had an exhibit outside of you were walking to the retailer seminars, and they had their products set out on these tables. Themselves as people were incredible. This was the first time at their show. They were just trying to figure out how to reach out to the retail side of things. And they had some damn cool designs for their metal dice with, like, the trim along the outside with these really vibrant colors. It was really neat, right? And we had some really neat one-on-one time with them. They sat down with Dave and Kel outside of the seminar hall for a little while, and I was impressed with them as people and incredibly impressed with their product lines. People matters a lot in where I want to put our money as well. Maybe that's just me personally. People matter a lot. And if I know I'm investing into companies that do cool things and are good people that are interested in having a dialogue, I love that. Become a super fanboy of that. And they have had exemplary customer service since then. Every single order we send in gets a handwritten thank you note with, like, super cute, clever fantasy quips every time. They give us extra swag. Like, they know how to wine and dine the retailers.
Shut up.
It's clever, man. They are great. They are great. Those guys at Castle Die Hard are freaking awesome. If you ever have a chance to talk with them, I encourage you to. Very delightful. Neat thing too. The first year they didn't have a booth at Gamma, at the Gamma Trade Show, where probably doesn't need any introduction.
Were they there last year?
They were there.
Were they there last Gamma? I don't remember them, but then again, we've spent a lot of time inebriated.
We spent a lot of time inebriated. And weirdly, like the shows have a tendency to blur together for me at this point.
Are you going this year?
I think so. We're just now making plans on who's going to go.
Because
I think so.
I've been on the fence about going, but I think I want to go. If I think I can get it together and go, maybe. If you guys are going, then I want to go.
And honestly, if you went, I would be far more excited. We'd get in all sorts of trouble.
Dude, I'm serious. We should, never mind. Then I'm leaning more toward going than not. John.
We literally just talked about this to go back to our employees to see what they think about this. Dave is analyzing the costs on who we're sending and how we're doing that. So literally in the middle of that,
if you want to weigh in who I think December would benefit 14th, from going, then I'll just help you out.
I'd rather you weigh in, not on the record for the internet to hear.
My mouth is no. I appreciate that. I was not gonna say.
I didn't think you would.
Word,
but I also love having a conversation with you, and I know that we can just go on.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna hold it off on that. So to answer your question, I think if I can remember where we were, I believe that Die Hard was there sharing a booth with HD Dice. They had been there. Maybe this was either their second or third year at the show. And what's neat, and I love stories. I love I love noticing cool, remarkable things when I witness them. And I like sharing those revelations if I can. But we met the guys from Die Hard in this little exhibit hall, like booth. They set up like a temporary booth thing. They were not in the exhibit hall. They were just like off in a side hotel room, giving away free dice, trying to get people noticing the products, right? The next year they were in the exhibit hall partnering with another booth. I believe it was HD Dice that had a bunch of really cool polymer options with another unique way to purchase them. You could get more of them. The retail packaging allowed it to be more diversified at your own choice. Anyway, let's go back to the remarkable thing. So second year they're there, I saw a number of companies emulating their designs. So if imitation is the best form of flattery,
no, that shit's fascinating.
It was weird to see, and cool, like good for them, but like I loved their stuff. And that was one of the reasons we went to them. Now there's competition and hopefully it breeds a better market for everyone, but they had a good idea and it was great. The reason we keep coming back to them, even though other people have been offering similar designs or similar design concepts, is the customer service has always been very personalized. They've always made sure to respect and take care of any of the retailers that have been buying from them wholesale. Sorry, I just kind of blurted.
You don't need to apologize, John. I find you very interesting. I find your perspective interesting. And you have an insight and access to the industry and information about the industry that I no longer possess and desperately, desperately covet. So I am happy to listen to you ramble.
If I can ramble about these good things, Mike, and you can live vicariously through this legacy that you passed along to me.
That is not, I mean, there's been, obviously that is what this is about, but I don't want to talk about it, right? It's like when I shit the bed and I tell the guest that I'm nervous talking to them, right? It's not, no one wants to hear that. No one wants me to acknowledge my mistakes and I'm so nervous to talk to you, Mr. So-and-so, because or Mr. So-and-so. Nobody wants to fucking hear that. I'm going to cut all this out anyway.
Got it. Good.
Because I've rambled.
Yeah,
that's what happens when we get together, John, is that
we ramble. We allow words to take us past the boundaries of time. It is an excuse to get to spend more time together, Mike, and that is well worth it to me. Every syllable.
Oh, God damn it. Stop it. Again, it's getting all sappy.
Well, I can't find a cutting remark in my mind. It's kind
of romantic in here. I got to tell you,
it's the
sun coming in the window, the candle that I've got going.
The sun has set as we sit here and share stories, and we now will settle in comfortably, sloppily into the safe space Studios.
I love how you kind of calmed it. You kind of brought it down. It is burning out, but yeah, burning out because like, I'm burning out now. It is running extremely low, but I'm burning my The Shire candle. That is the flavor or aroma from Epic Candle Company, with whom I spoke at Gen Con. I actually loved their stuff, and their customer service was excellent. Do the kids still say on point? You know, my wife and I have a rule that if you ask the question, do the kids still say, the answer is obviously no. The kids no longer say it. But they were really, really great. And I want to order some more stuff from them, because even though it does not cover or hide the aroma of my medication, they are still quite pleasant to have burning in the studio.
As an observer, I'd say they are lovely. Good to know that they took care of you. That's awesome.
So, John, where's the industry headed next then? Where do you think the next big move is? Because it seems to me that even though the digital markets continue to grow for both role-playing games and comic books, they still pale in comparison relative to what actual print is doing. Now, I understand that that is print on demand. I also understand that most manufacturing industries have a sort of print or produce manufacturer as needed philosophy. And so that's caused a lot of supply chain shortages, because a lot of manufacturing just caught with their pants down, right? But I guess where I'm going with this is that I'm curious what you see is going to be the next thing for the industry, because it continues to improve and grow year after year, despite some stinkers in there that I personally lived through. It seems that the general trends for the industry, continue to improve and show growth year after year.
Great question. All I have are speculations. If I felt confident about any of those answers, I would be a much wealthier man.
Sure, but throw on your robe and grab your crystal ball. And
so it's fascinating to see. And again, this is just hearing whispers from different places, but interesting to see the ways that creators are finding to leverage their amazing projects. Like Kickstarter has become a staple for a long time. You asked me 10 years ago, would you have been able to predict that? You know, there's creators that have cut their teeth and earned their accolades in the superhero genre of comics that are now taking their storytelling skills to subscription-based online periodicals, which is fascinating. Personally, I've always been a huge fan of toy soldiers, as you put it. Like, minis have been the thing that I like to geek out about and toy around with. And I am blown away at the capacity for technologies with 3D printing to take that towards the future. I know that you've done commentaries upon that before, and I'm woefully behind in what, like, I don't have a 3D printer. I would love one. But I know that that's going to be a way that it's going to change the way the miniatures are done forever. And I'm curious what that's going to look like 10 years from now.
Oh, John, the future.
It's mind blowing.
The future is a machine called the SIOcast.
Okay.
SIOCAST, which is a $50,000, essentially an injection molding machine that you can have. I could fit several of them in this room. It's remarkable, but I do digress.
So, and obviously, like you and many of your listeners are more aware of what trajectory things are going, specifically in their whatever they are passionate about.
In their niche.
Yeah, in their niche, yeah.
Which I know it's pronounced niche, but that is a defiance that I just cannot. It may well be the hill that I die on. I say niche. I say bona fides. I have a chubby Midwestern tongue. Let me have
Just
that.
be you. Just keep being you.
Come on,
it's all good.
man. Just let me have this. But
niche.
Yeah, niche.
So
I don't know. It sounds pretentious to me.
I don't know where it probably is. It's a little French. Here.
Yeah, I'm a lot French.
You are a lot French. Only a little pretentious.
Whoa, hardcore. Fucking shots fired. John, if I had a machine gun, I would do that sound effect right now, but instead, there you go. And for you, yes, that fart was made by me. That is organic, farm to table right there for you, John. Just have some, John.
You can just
do you like that?
Can you not taste that in the back of your tongue? Just imagining
I'm such a fucking child, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that I figure out how to use this, I'm such a child.
It's a fun toy, Mike. We find new toys to be excited about. That's really cool.
We do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, okay.
And where the next thing is, I wish I knew, and I wish I was more of a gambler. I would be a better businessman for it. I would make us a lot more money if I had more finger on the pulse.
Okay. Well, you're the company buyer.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? You're the company buyer. And again, forgive me for interrupting, but
no, you're good.
It may be because I'm medicated, but I feel like sometimes if I don't jump in, then I'm not going to get to talk with you.
What's next?
So you're the company buyer.
Mm-hmm.
What is the cool toy thing in the gaming industry for you that has come out recently? What was it that you were like, fuck, that is something that's really, really cool. That is an item, a product, a book, a thing that came out that made me feel the way I did before I had this job, before I was in the industry and I was just exclusively a fan.
That's a good question. And it's going to take reflecting, and it's a good question. If I had to pick one.
Because you do, John. You do, because I know the John thing. Well, there's this product and that thing and that thing and that thing, and we're here for another hour because you're indecisive. So yes, John, I just want the one.
I may not be medicated, but I've been hanging out in this very medicated air.
Is contact high real?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's real. Like that's something that I would go to Reddit.
It's high. Yeah, I can't tell you if it's real. Because the environment has changed, and now it is this like deep exploration of the psyche to determine, was I really that excited when the pop Charmander and fuck, I have to choose one, the fucking Bulbasaur. Like, was I really that excited to bring him that Bulbasaur?
Okay, hold on a second. You want to say pop Pokemon is one category? I'm in, brother.
But gotta fucking choose. You don't get to have all three starters unless you have more than one of those little Game Boy games.
I love it. I love it. Then
Bulbasaur gets to, like, that was a weird.
Which one's Bulbasaur? Is the one, is it the fat one that has the bulb on its back that blossoms?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hence Bulbasaur. Yeah, I know. I sound like an idiot.
Like those.
Wait a minute. Charmander is fire? Wow.
Charmander.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. Now that was John that hit the gargle, not me.
Squirtle.
Well, that's the thing too. It's me. It's like me never mind. That's too far.
So that one, spicy. Like that one, weirdly like hit. As a rule, I don't like pop figures. I think they make people look weird. But then they started coming out with like little pop figure animals, and I was like, "Fuck! I want that Robin Hood, that Fox Robin Hood from Disney's Robin Hood. That looks cool." And then there was like a Snuffleupagus. I was like, "Fuck! I can't say no to Snuffleupagus." Now I have like more pops than I know what to do with, and I don't generally buy stuff to resell it. It's just supposed to be cool because I love those things. And they got me with Pokemans. Like, I don't play the card game. My brothers played when I was young, but I played the video game a little bit when I was a kid. So those little collectible monsters became, I don't know, real for me in the way that they have been real for so many other people. So that one brought me some joy. That may not actually be in the recent past. The risk that I run into in this moment is now wanting to bloviate about the many other amazing miniatures and games that have, that have come out that I've either added to my collection or I've seen people get such passionate enjoyment out of. New stuff is really cool. Seeing people reconnect with old stuff is also amazing. Staff members have been trying to get a Mutants and Masterminds game after work. There's been I love this staff right now at St. Charles too. They've been like hanging out and gaming after they close up the store whenever they possibly can. And I'm sitting back there in my little cave, finishing up the orders for the night, just getting to hear the chitter chatter of their joy.
I want to do a staff roundtable. Like, I want to bring my mics up and sit down with 3 of your employees and talk about working for the fantasy shop and just interview your employees.
I think they would love that. Rowan, one of our newer guys up there, he wanted to do some sort of like documentary thing to celebrate the 40 years.
I do too.
And I that would be cool.
The fact that we're not doing a used gaming auction is a goddamn crime.
Yep.
But John,
but we need to go on about that at some point and like doing some sort of this company's been around for a long time. There've been a lot of really cool people and
here's what I'm going to do,
important
John.
people that we need to reconnect with.
I will
always.
I will do that, but also I would love to bring this to the Christmas party and just set up my mics and just say, "Hey, it's been 40 years. What does the fantasy shop mean to you?"
I think that seems like a good start.
Is that would that be okay with Dave and Kel?
Yeah, ask Mike. I love having conversations with you. That is why I'm here today. I also love talking about this industry with you because of a number of reasons.
And this is why I invited you to be here today.
And I know how much it means to you. And that helps me to get excited myself. These kinds of conversations fuel me to get back to what we're doing and get through the things like calling back Spectrum or talking to Brett, who is a godsend right now and is talking to Spectrum for me.
Yeah, that's actually something that we need to tease. That's what we ought to do next time. Is you and Brett both on the show? Since Brett is, I don't want to get into it and talk about his business, but he's looking to move up in the company too.
Yeah, Brett has been trying to take on new responsibilities and finding new ways to bring some value to the company outside of just working the floor. And he's got the best of intentions and is going to be given some cool opportunities to see what can be done. Yeah, really excited about that. I've gotten to work with Brett for a long time and he has, again, like you, he cares a lot about this company and a lot about this industry and is excited to do better and do more by it. So it's exciting. If you are thinking about bringing the sound equipment to the Fantasy Shop Christmas party at the close of 2021, Chris Hacker, a former employee, is also going to be there. And he happens to be the host of the Oblivion Bar, a nerd culture podcast that has some experience in this voice sphere that you do. And it might be cool if you guys wanted to do some cross promotion or something like that.
Well, and he's super handsome.
He's very, he doesn't work for me anymore. Yeah, he's super handsome. I hope he knows that.
Well, John, you're not. Go, stop looking at. Go, don't take my fucking picture, you monster.
It was a selfie. No, it wasn't. I'm lying.
Monster. Here I am trying to do multiple takes on an outro, and John is using the opportunity to take when my hair looks like shit. But I know I'm so vain.
You look comfy.
All right. Well, John Perks.
If you look anything, you just look high.
All right, John Producer. My producer has given me the finger roll, wrap it up thing. So here comes the music. John Perks, thank you so much for being here today.
Mike, it's been my pleasure as always. Look forward to, I'm not going to promise a next time, but if next time happens, it's going to be good. Yeah. Love you so much, dude.
I love you too, John. Why We Game is a production of the Influence Foundation. All rights reserved. Editing by me, Brodor. Music by 99 Instrumentals. And to be clear, if you want to share this shit, tell your friends. Use it in your own podcast. That's fine. Just credit me, and if you're making money, I need a goddamn cut.